I'm going to chop up this end part because it's not in a good shape. And then I might save this for a couple of steaks later. So you're just going to cube it like stew beef. Now this is not a fatty cut. It looks like some fat is marbled through there, but what's actually marbled through there is tendon. Okay? So this is not a tender cut of meat. And that's why we're going to slow cook it. Now, you can tenderize it first. I did not. But you could throw some meat tenderizer in here. It's not going to hurt a thing. If you want to tenderize it with soda, you can do that, baking soda. But if you do that, you're supposed to rinse it off before you cook it. Now, one thing I am going to do is I'm going to melt about a half stick of butter in the bottom of my Dutch oven. And I'm going to let it melt in there. Now, you don't even have to do this part, but I'm using a cheap cut of meat. When you're using a cut of meat that don't have a lot of fat, add some fat to it. What's the best fat in the world? Butter. So I'm going to put a whole stick in here since I got that much meat. We've got our oven preheated to 350 degrees. We got enough beef just about to cover the bottom. I'm going to add enough to cover the bottom of my Dutch oven. So if y'all find some cheaper cuts of meat that's on sale, you can use it for beef stew. Right now, meat's outrageous. If you go sometimes on a Tuesday, they'll have it marked down from the weekend too. I think that'll be plenty. Now that's just enough to cover it. I'm going to put some meat tenderizer on this. And I'm using their recipe. I think I might add a couple of things. Why not? Let's do it. It's their recipe, but we're going to add a little bit of love from Tammy, okay? A little bit of love from Tammy. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off because you don't want it to cook too much when it's tough like that. You don't want to get it too hot, really. I'm going to turn it off. This is my meat tenderizer, which has salt in it. We'll go ahead and put our tomatoes in there. We've got stewed tomatoes. I decided to use some stewed tomatoes. They just called for diced tomatoes, but I didn't use Italian either. That matters. Just plain old stewed tomatoes. And let me spread these around a little bit before we throw our other stuff in here. Now, the good thing about a Dutch oven is that lid is really heavy, so it's not going to lose any moisture, and the vegetables don't have to be down inside there to cook. It cooks with steam. So here's our potatoes. Part of our carrots. Put in our onion. Carrots and celery. This is going to be really good, y'all. It's just to fix it and forget it. Now, if you don't have a Dutch oven, maybe you should buy you a Dutch oven through our website. I think I got large ones on there, and I've got this Martha Stewart one on there too. But anyway, so there's our veggies. I'm going to go ahead and salt them a little bit. Oh, that's pepper. Well, I can pepper them too. Salt. Okay. Okay, we got a can of water. We're going to add our soy to it. It's 3 tablespoons of soy. You know what? I think I'm going to add the cornstarch to it and whisk it, and then we'll put the soy in the pot. They are calling for 4 tablespoons of cornstarch, and that'll thicken it, help thicken it. It's really going to help thicken it, actually. I guess I'll put 4. It's their recipe, right? We're going to whisk it. We might want to throw just a little extra water in there since I'm putting this in with the water and it's not quite getting the full can of water. There's 1, 2, 3. A lot of that cornstarch is in the bottom, so you really need to mix it good. Mix it really good, pour it in there, and then we'll add just a little extra water. That soy sauce is salty as well. Look at there, it's about covered, ain't it? All right, that's their recipe. I don't think I'm gonna add anything to it. I think I'll do it just like they said. It looks good to me. Then you put the lid on it, open up the oven, slide it in. We're gonna cook this 2.5 hours at 350 degrees. And I'm hoping it's gonna fit in my little oven. I don't know for sure if it will. So I'll put it in this direction. Ooh, it fits. Fix it and forget it. We'll see you in 2.5 hours and have a good bowl of lazy day beef stew. Okay, I hope you've had a lazy day today. We're going to pull out our beef stew. It smells good and it's smoking. Okie dokie, y'all. We're going to take a look at this. Wow, it looks good. Looks really good, y'all. And get me a ladle. And we're going to put some in our bowls. And I'm hungry, real hungry. So I'm going to see how it looks, stir it up. It looks good, don't it? It's nice and chunky and hearty for a cold day.
So you can use a Dutch oven for this or your crock pot, but you need to brown your meat in whatever you want to brown it in first, okay? I'm going to use a brazier, and that way I can cook it in the brazier as well, and I don't have to transfer and cook it in something different. But now this will stick a little bit, so you got to make sure to cook it on low or use a brazier that's non-stick, or the crock pot even is a good thing to use. So we're just going to chop this up into nice pieces for a tomato stew. And that's really all the chopping we got to do. I've already cut my meat up. You can buy it cut up or you can cut it up. You just need a good cut of meat. You know, a roast. And this is getting good and warm. So we're going to toss our beef in some flour. So I'm going to get about a 1/2 cup of flour out. This is self-rising flour. You can use plain flour. It doesn't matter. Throw your beef in there. And all we're doing right now is browning it a little bit. All right, you should have your Dutch oven hot or brazier, whatever it is you're using. You're going to go ahead and brown your meat regardless if you're using the crock pot or not. So you're going to do this in a skillet or whatever you got before you add it to the crock pot, if that's what you want to use to cook this in today. This is a hearty beef stew. I'm actually going to cook it, and we're going to make a pot pie out of it. I just thought it'd be a good idea to do. It's my beef stew recipe, hearty beef stew, in the Volume 2 cookbook. So put your meat in here and don't flip it until it starts getting good and brown. So it's going to take a couple of minutes, especially if you got gas stovetop like I do. So I'm cleaning while that browns. I already have out my ingredients. So go ahead and get your ingredients out first. If you don't, that way you can clean up. If for some reason you don't have them all out, then you've got the time while that browns to get out all your ingredients. So you're going to be using bay leaves, Worcestershire sauce, a Lipton onion soup packet mix, some brown gravy mix, salt, pepper, whatever steak and chop, some tomato paste in a small can, and some diced tomatoes in a 28-ounce can. And, of course, the onion we've already chopped up. So we're going to try to flip it over right quick. And all you're doing is browning the meat. Now, because this has got flour on it, and we're going to use a little gravy mix when we mix this up before we simmer it, that's one of the reasons it can stick, okay? So you need to make sure, like I said, put it in a Dutch oven, and put it in the oven, really, or a very low, the lowest setting on your stove, or a crock pot. And I'm not so worried about it because this brazer's non-stick, but I'm just giving y'all a word up. It's a really, really good beef stew. All right, it's good and brown, which is how you want it. So I'm going to grab me 2 mittens, and we're going to put this out on a pie plate and start our next step. All right, now we're going to add our onion. Couple of bay leaves. These are little bay leaves. We're going to put in a little bit of juice from these diced tomatoes. We're going to put in the tomato paste. It's a 7-ounce can, I believe. No, a 6-ounce can. Tomato paste. I guess I could have browned my onion a little bit, but it's going to be a stew, so it's going to be cooking in here all day anyway. So that don't really matter. I'm just going to put everything in it, y'all. Be done with it. Tomatoes. Lipton onion soup pack mix. A few shakes of Worcestershire. Cup of water. Couple of teaspoons of steak and chop. And an 1/8 cup of brown gravy mix. That's not a lot. If you don't have an 1/8 cup scoop, it's about 3 tablespoons. And now we're going to mix all this together. Let it heat up to a bubble. Then we'll add our meat back to it. Then we're going to simmer this till the meat's tender. It's going to take about 4 hours on the lowest setting. If you have a better cut of meat and you think your meat will get softer quicker than that, of course you can reduce the time. Just come check it in a couple of hours and see how it looks. You want it to be fork tender. And then we're going to cook it another. If you're using the crock pot, it's going to take 4 hours. If you're using the stovetop, it might not take that long. So just check it. And then we're going to add all of our vegetables and cook it an additional hour or 2. We didn't even need salt and pepper because we've got all this other stuff that's got salt in it. It's going to be really good, y'all. When this starts to bubbling, we'll go ahead and add our meat to it. We're going to get that meat down in there good. We're going to put a lid on it, and we're going to let this simmer until it's good and fork tender. But you can kind of tell that's a thick sauce, almost like a barbecue. It's not barbecue, but I'm just saying the thickness is more like a, so it's not something that you can leave up on a higher or even a medium temperature. You got to make sure you got it all the way down. We'll see y'all when it's fork tender. All right, this roast has been on low, very simmery. Now, I wasn't really supposed to put soup mix in it early, and I did, but that ain't gonna matter. But I did have to stir it and add a cup of water because it was just wanting to stick too much. And there ain't no problem with that, so if y'all need to do that, go ahead and do it. Just don't let it burn. Now we're going to add a couple of cups of water and all of our veggies. And at this point, if you hadn't put in the soup mix, you put it in, but we've already done that. We're going to add carrots and potatoes. And I like to use a few green peas. These are frozen green peas. And I love sheephead corn. I don't like yellow corn because it's too sweet, but I like sheephead because it's not sweet, so I like it in my soups and stuff. And we're going to stir this up. And now we can turn up the temperature just a little bit and cook it on a medium. Or you can keep it down on low if you want to, medium low. And we're going to simmer it a couple of hours before we eat our stew. I'm going to make some cornbread to go with it. It's going to be good. Okay. We are going to make just cornbread for 2, for me and Chris. So I'm just going to use a cup of cornmeal. Cornmeal has a lot of flour in it. More than normal, I do believe. All right, we're going to use our Crisco and grease our skillet. This is just a small skillet. I believe it's a 8-inch. Might be a 6. I don't really know, to tell you the truth. Just know it's a small skillet. All right, so I greased my skillet. And now all I'm going to do is put in an egg, some buttermilk, enough to make it good and wet. And that's cornbread for you. I'm going to put a little bit of oil in it. I know I melted a little butter in the bottom, just about a tablespoon and a half or so. But I like for my cornbread to have oil in it. It makes it taste good. Okay. I'll add a little buttermilk to it. And if you want the recipe, we have a cornbread for 2 recipe. You can just look it up. But boy, we're going to have some cornbread with supper. I'm going to add a little bit of cornmeal. I about got it too wet. We're going to put a little cornmeal mix down in the bottom of our skillet. And I've really never seen our cornmeal with this much flour before in my life. I'm not sure what's going on with that. All right, so we're going to put our mix in here. Get it in the oven and cook it till it's nice and toasty. Usually takes about 25 minutes at 425 degrees. And we're going to have it with some delicious stew. Y'all come over here and see the stew. It's been sitting here cooking for a while on the stove top. It looks good. Ready to eat. So once that cornbread gets done, we'll have us a nice stew. made on a cold winter day. All right, our cornbread's done. You're going to flip it out right here. Got it getting brown like I like it. And I left my knife out that I got my butter with earlier, so we'll just use it to cut into it. Looks good. Good old white lily cornmeal. All right, so we are going to get us some stew. In order for me to taste it, I'm going to have to put it out on a plate because it's really hot. Then I'll put Chris's in a bowl, but I'm having mine on a plate. All right, this is a hearty stew. So you can see the meat, the potatoes, the carrot. Everything looks delish. I want to get me another carrot. I like the veggies.
We were in the grocery store and we saw a book, and it was Irish pub food. And we never make Irish food, but we have made 2 recipes out of this book, and they've been outstanding. Chris made the fish and chips, and today we made this Irish beef stew. Now, the beef stew had the Guinness beer, and Chris had to make a special run to go get it. And it's a stout beer. And I am not a beer drinker and do not like the taste of beer. Sorry, guys in Ireland. But holy smokolas, this is the best beef stew I've ever eaten. And it's hard for me to admit that, but this broth in this beef stew is the tastiest I've ever had. And so you're going to want to stick around. You're going to want to watch this video and see all the delicious ingredients going in. Y'all have got to give it a try. So we're going to get started right now. Hey y'all, it's Tammy with Collard Valley Cooks, and today we are going to make a delicious Irish beef stew. I picked up this magazine at a register, and it's all about St. Patty's Day and the Irish pub food. And this is a recipe that I decided to make for you guys for St. Patty's Day week. And of course, it has beer in it. It has this Guinness stout beer. It's going to have Worcestershire, Dijon mustard, tomato paste, some delicious beef broth, onion, mushrooms, parsnips, carrots. This is 2 pounds of chuck roast beef. It's going to have small potatoes in it, the golden potatoes, but I don't have them out because we add those later. And then we're going to have rosemary, thyme, and a bay leaf, and some fresh garlic. So it's got a lot of really good stuff in it. We're going to get over here and season our beef and brown it in the Dutch oven. And I'm going to show you how to put this together, and I just know it's going to be delicious. So if it's cold and rainy where you live, and even if it's not, this is going to be a good beef stew. So you're just going to take your chuck and you're going to cube it, and then you're going to put pepper on it and salt. It's super simple. And they don't put flour on theirs like we do, but they do thicken it before they eat it with some cornstarch. So that'll be our last step. So salt it and pepper it. Now I've had this on for just a few minutes, so it should be ready to add our beef to brown it. You're going to add a little oil to it, and they tell you to use cooking oil, and I'm just going to use a little olive oil. And after this beef browns a few minutes, we're going to take it out and then put in some of our vegetables. So just spread it around. So you're going to cook this about 5 minutes until it's browned, and then you're going to remove it. So I'm going to let it sit in here a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to stir it and let it cook for another 2 to 3 minutes. So total cook time about 5 minutes. right, you got plenty of time to flip them around if you need to. We've still got 2.5 minutes to cook, and I've turned them all and made sure that all the sides are getting browned. This is a beautiful Dutch oven, and it's a big one. And you're going to want to cook this in a Dutch oven or a nice big saucepan. All right, once your beef is nice and brown, you're going to put it in a bowl and set it aside. And then the next thing we're going to do is put our onions in here with a little bit of oil. Cook them for a minute. So I'm going to add just a little bit of oil. A medium onion chopped. And you're going to cook these just a couple of minutes. We're going to start deglazing the pan a little bit. And once we add all the vegetables, all that good beef, those drippings from the beef that's going to come off of the Dutch oven and be in our stew, it'll be really delicious. Now we're going to add the rest of our vegetables. You're going to add your parsnips, your carrot, and your mushrooms. And they tell you that you're supposed to cook this until the mushrooms start losing their moisture, and you can see that there's plenty of moisture in the bottom of the Dutch oven so that it deglazes all that good beef, those beef drippings on the sides of your Dutch oven. So you're going to cook this about 8 minutes. Well, that's a big piece of mushroom. I think I'll have it. I bought mushrooms that were already cleaned and ready, and that way I didn't have to clean them. Cleaning mushrooms to me is a real tedious job. This is our beer, Guinness Stout. Okay, y'all, I'm not from Ireland. I do have some Irish in me, of course, but I don't drink beer either. But it calls for beer, and I am going to go out on a limb and put this beer in there because I really want it to be a true Irish stew. And I know you guys over there in Ireland love to drink. We actually watch a YouTuber that's over there, and he's a fisherman, and it's a lot of fun to watch him. And the countryside is just gorgeous in Ireland, and he goes to the most beautiful lake, and he takes naps. And some of y'all might know who I'm talking about, but we just really enjoy his YouTube channel. So we're going to add this beer, and I'm going to open it right quick. I got it open. Smells stout. All right. So let's cook this about 8 minutes once you add the rest of your vegetables. And so the mushrooms haven't had time to really start releasing their juices yet, but they're beginning to. And once they do, the bottom of your Dutch oven will be wet from the mushrooms. And that's when we're going to start adding all our spices. Well, for heaven's sakes, you'd think I'd been drinking the beer. I forgot to turn my camera on when I was putting all the ingredients into the stew. So, Lord have mercy. All I can do is tell you I'm going to show you this anyway. I'm going to list the ingredients, and we are going to have an Irish stew, and you can make it too if you want to. Y'all know how to put stuff in a Dutch oven. All right, so this has been cooking for about 1.5 hours with the lid on, and now we're going to add our potatoes, and they're all small potatoes, and so I'm just going to make sure that they're covered good with water because everything in here is done except the potatoes. So if you have to, just pick up your meat and put your potatoes on the bottom. And then we're going to put the lid on it and cook it another 30 minutes until these are nice and fork tender. And then we're going to give it a try, ain't we, Chris?
Yeah, can't wait.
It smells good.
Mm-hmm.
Looks good, smells good.
Delicious.
All right, our stew is ready. Me and Chris are hungry and ready to give it a try. It looks really good and hearty. Got a nice thick dark broth. Irish stew. I wish I could talk like that guy we watch on YouTube. Well, those potatoes are huge. Let me take some of them out.
Overdid it, didn't you?
Well, I went a little much with the taters. All right, there's our stew. It looks really good. And it says top it with a little parsley. So, we'll give it a try, y'all. Give it a shot. I'm very curious to see what it tastes like. Now, I just got a set of these bowls, so if you're interested in some little soup bowls, me and Chris have been wanting them for a long time, and I finally placed an order. These are really nice, and they come 4 in a pack, and so I'll put the link in the post for you guys. And I'm very curious to see if I can taste a strong taste of beer in this, or if it just tastes good. Man, that's delicious. That is just absolutely delicious, y'all. It's good. Very good. If you don't have one of those beers, you could just use more beef broth, but boy, is it tasty. I'm telling you, this is really good. I'm glad Chris bought a 6-pack so that we can have it again. You want to taste it, Chris?
Yeah.
The broth is really good.
I love stew. And I was telling Tammy what I like with the potatoes.
Yeah, Chris loves new potatoes and small.
We hadn't had anything with mushroom in it like this a stew before, have we? We don't ever put mushrooms
No, we usually don't.
in our soup or stew.
It's a very good recipe. Very good at
That's really
Irish
good.
stew.
That's a really good beef stew.
I think it's better than my beef stew that I've got in the cookbook.
I think it is.
I do too.
Flavor.
I think so too. I'm gonna tell you, these Irish people know how to cook, because this really is better than the beef stew I have. I think it's in my 1st or 2nd cookbook. It has a real light broth, the beef stew that I made. Now I have several different ones, but this is really, really good. The broth is super rich and flavorful, and you will not be disappointed if you give this a try for St. Patrick's Day. I can guarantee you that. I hope y'all have a great day, and we thank you so much for watching Colored Valley Cooks, where we cook today like the Irish do. Bye, y'all. Love ya.